Hey guys, this is Admin Purple Guy with Sword. I'm doing another video today. I have a special guest. It's my buddy Nathan. He is a Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle expert. Now, when I was still a noob, I remember I was having a difficult time beating Brawly when his event first came to global, and I pretty much put out an SOS message on the Dokkan Battle official Facebook page asking for help, and he was able to help me. So from ever since then, I've been relying on his ability to research, to analyze data, and to understand the mechanics of the games and how to utilize these data to help others to become better Dokkan Battle players. So now, the topic we would like to address is what is free to play. It is a fairly controversial topic, and everyone has their own definition what that is, and that's okay. We are here to talk about our definition or our views what free to play is, so we can encourage encourage discussion. And if you do not agree with us, that's fine. We would like to get this information out because, in my opinion, I believe this is a very comprehensive explanations of a free to play is. Okay, so I do want to say this: we're not interested in talk about free to play accounts or free to what does it mean to be a free to play player. What we are interested is what are free to play cards. As you know, my thing, I like to try to beat TUR bosses with free to play cards. Now, with that said, I'm going to have Nathan take it away. Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this up. It's a fun topic to kind of play with, peruse through. Um, I'll just kind of jump into it. So you and I, we were kind of thinking about what is free to play,
Mm,
and free to play for teams and team building and cards really kind of falls on a spectrum, if you will, of one end you've got players who really think that free to play is literally free. You're not using the in-game currency. You're not using dragon stones. Okay,
mm,
you're only getting units that drop for free. Friend point summons. You're getting farmable strike cards. You're getting maybe Dragon Ball Saga cards because you get the tickets pretty easily, within the world tournament. So, Bob and Top SRs and SSRs, items that are literally given to you. So,
right.
I kind of categorize that end of the spectrum as the purist, or as the purist level. You've got other players who are very, very loose with what they feel free to play is. These are the players who have a really hard time separating, their accounts and their personal achievements and the fact that they don't spend money with the fact that they've had good luck or they have really good cards.
Right.
And so, and then they want to say that, hey, I got all these great World Tournament cards and I didn't spend any money. I got all these GSSR banners I saved up for. I pulled a whole bunch of really great cards. I got really lucky and pulled God Tanks, or I got really lucky and pulled this and that. And they feel attacked or whatever that you're saying that these crappy units are free to play, and they think, well, I'm free to play. I'm not. So they have a very loose, broad definition of what free to play is, and I would call those kind of the radical end of the spectrum. And for team building purposes, there, it would be something that you could really categorize as free to play, and most people wouldn't see those type of teams as a free to play team. Now, you get to kind of where I believe, where the free to play spectrum, the free to play tent falls, and I like to label it as a optimal list. Now, I'm
Mm,
not quite the best way of describing what an optimal list would be is a free to play team that you can get with the in game currency, with dragon stones that you get for free for from events, from completing the quests, from getting you know uh, from login rewards and other thing else that we get in the game because they give it to us. They give us those dragon stones. They are free. So I believe that any SSR that you can pull from either friend point summons or from any banner counts as a free to play unit. I believe that any SR that you pull from the Dragon Ball World Tournament banner is a free to play unit. Basically, the reason it's an optimal solution for what free to play is, it encompasses the most amount of people. You play the game to a certain extent. You complete the quests. You've been playing for a while. 80%, 90% of the people who fall in that boat will have had access to any of those cards that are available. Meaning, that you don't have to spend money for them. They are free, and you can make a team with all of those cards at your disposal. So I allow for a much larger, less restrictive base of cards to be able to choose from. So, and I think that every one of us, our view of free to play falls somewhere along the spectrum between, the purists, the optimalists, and there are plenty who do fall past me and get closer to that radical side of the spectrum. And we all see ourselves as free to play players, or as teams that we use for the challenge of a free to play team.
Right. Okay. That's a very good definition. I think that and when I first started playing this game, when I first started doing this whole free to play tutorial, I I was very much so a purist, but that definition could come into some problems, right? If Because I was starting to think, now world tournament prizes, I did not spend money to pull them, and all I had to do was grind a bit, and I can receive them as free units, right? Because technically they're kind of free, right? So can you explain some of the problems with that?
So when we're talking about world tournament prizes, I think a lot of us have no problem accepting General Blue as a free to play unit. I mean, he's kind of been the staple of free to play for a long time. He's an SR, but he's a common SR, and that kind of falls in with the optimalist view of free to play. I don't think any of us have any problem with our polls from the World Tournament Dragon Ball Summons. Where a lot of players get a little bit hung up on is the SSR polls that we can get. The Kid Goku, Kami, Old Piccolo, things like that. And the reason why, as an optimalist, I don't believe that World Tournament Dragon Ball SSRs can be considered free to play
Right.
is because the vast majority of players will not have access to those cards. There's still an element of chance that's involved. No matter how hard you work, no matter how many times you grind, you don't have a guarantee that you'll get one of those cards. And that guarantee is another aspect of what makes free to play. If you there's not reason that or there's no reasonable reason that you can have um, a chance to get Kami. We like to say, oh yeah, everybody got Kami that first World Tournament when Kami came out. But in reality, maybe 30% player base got Kami, or maybe 30% player base got Kami over a couple of months.
Mm.
That means that most people didn't. And a lot of us who did get them got them 3 or 4 times. So that kind of led this idea that, oh wow, everybody's getting them. In reality, it probably wasn't nearly as much as people think. So being able to use those cards that most players don't have access to, and then saying, oh yeah, you need these cards to complete this event, and that way it's free to play. That really kind of with a purist mentality and with an optimalist mentality, that very strongly contradicts itself.
Okay.
Uh,
Perfect. Now, one last point I want to touch upon. Where do LL cards fit on the spectrum?
okay, so LR cards. This is a big one because they're very powerful. They're very OP. They hit hard. They have very specialized niches within their respective mono teams. They really mesh well. And then standalone cards, they work really well as also. So, but the one thing you have to remember, LR cards are free to play. And they're sold and marketed as free-to-play units by Bandai. The whole point of them is
Mm.
Bandai's releasing these OP units that anybody can get. I think that's the point that I need to hit home is even though they may take time, even though they may require extreme grinding at times, um, you know, within reason, anybody can get them. If you want it, you can get it. It may require that you have to play the game for a period of time and plan, to get all the super strikes, to beat the LR Goku event, to beat all of the TUR bosses for the androids, or in the case of LR Piccolo, which is the new LR that's coming out, it's beginning to become available.
Mm.
You have to be able to get a little bit lucky with with your local rankings, but anybody can get that card. And the point is, in the last World Tournament, we know for a fact that 30%, 33%, 1 out of 3 players got the card that becomes LR Piccolo.
Oh, wow.
And in this World Tournament, even more people will get him. Sure, you might end up with plenty of people who will overlap and get another copy of LR Piccolo, but I also guarantee you, a lot of players who missed out last month will get him this month. And next month, even more players who missed out these 2 months will get him. There'll be a stagger. And essentially what that stagger will line up with the people who grind less in World Tournament will get that card eventually. The less you grind, the longer it will take for you to get him, but you will get him.
Ah, okay.
And that's the whole point. In a game, if you're not willing to spend money in a game, then you have to be willing to spend your time. You're going to be spending something. Even free-to-play cards, you have to spend something. Your time is what you're going to end up having to spend. And for the LR cards, the more you spend in time, the quicker you'll get that unit.
Perfect.
That's all there is to it.
Perfect. Well, Nate, I want to thank you for your contribution to this topic, this controversial topic that we kind of had back and forth banters for the last couple of months. Okay, folks, I hope this video has kind of helped you to have a better understanding of our definition of free-to-play cards or accounts. Okay, thank you so much, Nathan. Until next time, this is Adam Purple Guy with a Sword.